Diets set you up to fail and are a terrible way to lose weight. In this video, I'm going to discuss exactly why diets set you up to fail, and then some of the steps that you can take in a very proven method to actually lose weight. But firstly, if you're watching this, the likelihood of you having been on a diet before is probably very high, and you have had the same experience as so many others before you. First, you decide to go on a diet. You pick one that you think might work and are finally thrilled you're going to get that six-pack by some. Then you begin. It's going good, you're highly motivated, and after about a week, you even start seeing some great weight loss. Then something comes up, be it a birthday, a party, a holiday, and you sort of go back to your old eating habits. When you try and get back onto the diet, you do what I call the yo-yo. You start dieting for a day, and then something else comes up, and you can never actually get back into the full swing of things as when you started. And with each time, your motivation decreases and decreases, to a point where you then just eventually give up. This is hopeless, you tell yourself. It must be my genetics. It's just not worth the pain. Sound familiar? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not your fault. And I don't mean it in a you are who you are sense of surrendering to fate kind of way. There's enough of that crap out there today encouraging you to be overweight and unhealthy, and that's just not the case. But in fact, it's the method by which you are trying to lose the weight that is wrong. Dieting just does not work, with some of the most recent statistics being that only 6% of people go on to continue losing weight after 1 year, with the vast majority gaining it all back and sometimes even more. But don't despair. There is a provable, stable, and vastly more successful way to not only lose, but maintain a healthy body weight. And I'm going to share it with you here today. But first, we've got to understand sort of why diets fail and why they are just not a good solution for losing weight. So why is it that diets, no matter how popular, trendy, or guaranteed to work they may seem, so often lead us down a path of disappointment? On paper and scientifically, they work. It's a simple calories in, calories out equation that is actually guaranteed to lose weight if you stick to the diet. The main issue is actually sticking to the diet. And I'm going to discuss the two main reasons why dieting doesn't work. So firstly, we've just got to address the elephant in the room, and that is sustainability. You've heard it before, but perhaps not in this context. Any diet that demands you to completely overhaul your eating habits in a day or two is fundamentally flawed. It's the classic case of sprinting before you've learned to walk. Most people plunge headfirst into a diet plan, throwing themselves into a rigorous regime that's as foreign as a new language. And just like trying to fluently speak a new language overnight, it just simply does not work, and it sets you up to fail. The effort of maintaining such a stringent diet, sticking to a menu that feels alien, and battling cravings for familiar foods takes significant toll. You're constantly exerting willpower to stay on track, and let's face it, willpower is finite. Over time, your resolve wanes, the old habits start to creep back in, and before you know it, you're back at square one. It's a predictable cycle, but it's also avoidable. And that brings us to the second point. We need to change the way we view dieting. It's not a temporary fix like popping a pill for a headache. Instead, it should be seen as a shift in lifestyle, a long-term commitment. But unfortunately, many of us treat dieting like a magic potion. Take it till the weight is gone, and then we can return to our old habits. We can eat the pizza, we can eat the cake, and everything will be fine. But think of it this way, your body isn't a machine you can just fix with a diet and then go back to your old habits. Using a diet as a quick fix is an external solution to an internal issue. It's not changing the fundamental relationship you have with food. As soon as you stop the diet, the old habits, unchallenged and unchanged, will come roaring back, often leading to rebound weight gain. This pattern is disheartening and damaging, both physically and emotional. Many of you probably have been on multiple diets that haven't worked, and you've been going on this yo-yo for years and years and years, and with each failure, it's not just the physical toll that it takes on your body, but the actual mental toll. You start to lose faith in yourself and your ability to actually achieve things in life. But what can we do about it? All right, let's dive right into the heart of the matter. And it starts with shaking off some old conventions. Firstly, let's get rid of the term diet. It's a word that comes laden with negative connotations. Restriction, deprivation, temporary. It's an inherently flawed concept that tends to set us up for failure. Instead, let's welcome a new phrase: healthy lifestyle. Sounds simple, right? And it can be, but it also calls for a change of mindset. Instead of focusing on dieting for a finite period of time, we must commit ourselves to transforming our habits permanently. This is not a sort of a summer fling with healthy foods, it's a lifelong commitment. Now, this doesn't mean we immediately scrap all our favourite foods and replace them with salads. That's just another type of dieting. And we've already established how well that works. What this calls for is just slow, intentional, step-by-step change. Start by identifying the most harmful foods in your diet and replace them with healthier options, or not at all. For instance, instead of reaching for that slice of cheesecake after dinner, go for a bowl of fruit, which can be just as tasty. But you might ask, how can I resist the call of my favourite unhealthy snacks? That cheesecake that I really, really love. The answer lies in the power of habit and the influence of identity. A great book to read is Atomic Habits by James Clear if you want to learn a lot more about it. But I'll summarize this. Our identities, how we perceive ourselves, significantly influence our behaviors. If we view ourselves as dieting or trying to eat healthy, there's always an implied endpoint, a time when we can sort of just revert to our old habits. But if we assimilate these healthier habits into our identities and make them sort of a part of ourselves, these changes actually become lasting. And this is actually how you continue and keep up the motivation for every sort of good habit that you want to change in your life. But for this, we're focusing on food and diet. But so consider the case of an ex-smoker. When asked whether they smoke, those who respond, "I don't smoke," are way more likely to never smoke again in their life compared to those that say, "Oh, I haven't smoked for X amount of months or years." See the difference there? Why? Because the former group has already altered their identity. They no longer perceive themselves as smokers compared to the other group who still perceive themselves as smokers, but they're just on a break, and they will inevitably revert to their old habits. So we can apply exactly the same principle to our eating habits. Instead of telling yourself, "I'm on a diet, I can't eat cake," try rephrasing it to, "I'm not the kind of person that eats cake." This shift in self-perception can be powerful. It encourages you to make decisions aligned with this new identity, fostering healthier, more sustainable eating habits. So, number one, make slow and steady changes. Don't try everything at once. And then when you make these changes, ingrain them into your identity. Make them part of you, and they will stick. But what exactly to do? Now that we've sort of demystified the theory, you're probably still wondering, so where do I begin? Let's lay it out in straightforward terms. And instead of giving you sort of what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat like everybody else here on the internet, I'm going to give you a framework that you can apply to every food decision that you make. So, number one, boost your protein intake. It's a simple yet effective rule. You can rarely overeat protein unless it's overly fatty. So that means pork belly or basically meat with a ton of fat on it. You can overeat if you eat a bunch of fat. But apart from that, feel free to consume as much protein as you want in a day. Protein is incredibly satiating, and you actually will not be able to eat that much of it. Yeah, even for a really, really big guy, eating 2 big chicken breasts at lunch is going to fill you up massively, and it's only going to be about 800 calories, and you might not even want dinner when you come around to it. Interestingly, it's not entirely calorie dense too. It's actually the hardest micronutrient for the body to digest, with around 20% of the calories actually burnt off in the digestion process too. And then step 2 is cut back on carbohydrates. A significant part of transforming your eating habits involves reducing carbohydrate intake. Try to limit or completely eliminate foods like pasta, bread, and particularly sugar. Anything that has a lot of sugar, you really want to start thinking about cutting out. Not only for fat loss, but also for longevity. People who eat a lot of sugar tend to get a lot sicker quicker. Replace these with vegetables for your carbohydrate source, preferably low-starch vegetables, so not potatoes, although if you're going to eat carbohydrates, potatoes are going to be better than refined carbohydrates such as pasta or bread. Or better, consider just not having carbohydrates at all. Your body actually doesn't need carbohydrates to survive. Whole food pyramid that was created in the 60s and 70s and has taught you at school is wrong, and is in a way what has led to a huge amount of obesity and unhealthiness today. You do not need carbohydrates to survive. So apply these 2 rules to every food related decision you make, be it in a meal at a restaurant, doing your grocery shopping, or even if picking up that coffee from your favorite cafe. Instead of having that caramel macchiato, go for just a flat white with no sugar. And then incorporate these changes slowly over time. It can work wonders for the majority of people. There's no need to chase the latest fad diet that prescribes, say, sipping cabbage juice in the morning. So to sum up, changing your eating habits isn't about drastic measures or quick fixes. It's about making small and sustainable and predictable steps to change your lifestyle over a long period of time. Start with these 2 steps, give yourself time to adjust, and watch as you gradually but surely move towards a healthier lifestyle. Let's toss out the term diet from our vocabulary and embrace a happier, healthier, and more sustainable relationship with food. So, number 1, say goodbye to the term diet, replace it with healthy lifestyle. Number 2, make slow, intentional changes, gradually replacing unhealthy food choice with healthier alternative. Step 3, reinforce these new eating habits by integrating them into your identity. And then step 4, use the simple food choice framework. Boost protein, lower carbohydrates. And I promise you, if you stick to this for 3 to 4 months, you will start to notice huge changes in not just your body shape, but the way you feel, and it will lead you to live a healthier, consistent life. And if you've stuck all the way to the end of this video, please make sure to check out my Twitter. If you like this content, I sort of break all this stuff down and give it into short, small bites that can be pretty useful for people if you don't have time to watch a 10 to 15 minute video.